Hello, welcome back, Freedom Seekers. First of all, I wanted to thank you all so much for all the feedback on my first three episodes. I really appreciate everyone who's listened, commented, rated them, or messaged me privately to say it inspired them. I'm so grateful and I want to keep delivering value. So here we are for episode 4. This is going to be a very important one, so please listen carefully. And as I mentioned, there's a surprise at the end, so make sure you stay tuned. This episode is all about ourselves and how we dream too small, often because that's what we've been taught. But wouldn't it be great to start creating an extraordinary life today? So grab your 9.5 pH glass of water, a notebook, and let's dive in. It's time to set yourself free. By the end of this episode, you'll know why we're taught to dream small and how to break free from that mindset. Simple exercises you can start today to build confidence, worthiness, and ambition. How to turn your inspiration into action and take real steps towards the life you want. And the surprise I've got prepared for you to help you leave your 9 to 5 behind. Now, let me start with a short story about how I decided to start this podcast. Maybe it inspires you. I read somewhere that you can ask your subconscious a question before going to bed, and when you wake up in the morning, you'll have the answer. I thought that that was so cool. So I tried it, but nothing much happened at first. However, one night 2 weeks ago, I woke up at 4 a.m. with the thought I'm going to start a podcast. It came out of nowhere. I was so excited, I grabbed my phone, I started brainstorming titles with ChatGPT and starting drafting the first episode. I even went to Amazon and bought a microphone. All of this at 4 a.m. in the morning. At 5, I was like, okay, time to go back to sleep. So I went back to sleep. And within 1 week, I launched this podcast. So, what's the lesson here? Why am I sharing this? When inspiration strikes, act on it. Don't dismiss it. Don't overthink it. Explore it, even if it's just one small step, because you're listening to this now because I decided to do that. Okay? And funnily enough, why I'm sharing this in this episode is because I wanted to bring you a lot of value for episode 4, and I was brainstorming and I couldn't come up with an episode. So I said, okay, let me try this. Before bed, I said I want some inspiration on episode 4, and I went to bed. Then the next morning, I woke up and I'm like, oh my God, I know what to do for episode 4 to really serve my listeners. And it was just like, wow, it has actually worked. I got so many ideas for this episode and I started recording it straight away. So, have you ever noticed that sometimes when we go and do something else, when you're focused on a challenge, you're just trying to get answers and you're not getting anywhere, but you just step out, maybe go out for a walk, you go do a workout, or you even get in the shower and then all of a sudden ideas, solutions are flowing? To me, it happens usually in the shower. I don't know what about you. Whatever that is, though, do more of it because it's the perfect way to get out of our heads and into our bodies. The point of sharing this with you is that those hunches that we have are more important than anything. And sometimes we try to suppress them, but they can really lead us to something beautiful. So just follow them, okay? That's my advice for you. Let's get started with today's topic, the problem of dreaming too small. Here's the truth that I want to share with you. Most of us are dreaming way too small, and that's not because we're lazy or unambitious, but because we were taught to. Think back to school. We were all about getting good grades, then going to university, landing that safe corporate job. Essentially, this model of education, for me now it looks old and outdated, but we were taught take orders, don't ask questions, and do your work. Nobody actually told us, hey, you can build your own life, your own business, your own freedom. And also, we're asked to choose so early in life. Like at 16, what do we know at 16 to be choosing all of this, right? But imagine we were actually told, like, we could be doing anything we wanted. We had so many options. We were actually given the chance to test different things to see what we really wanted. And one thing that I also didn't know is the inner work that it requires. That's when I started my business that I started doing the inner work. And I was like, wow, I had never worked on my limiting beliefs. I have never reconnected with my worth, never questioned my stories that I've been telling myself about success and many other topics. And that was such a big realization. So I want to share two of the most important things, and maybe you can explore them for yourself. Number one was this inner child concept. I had never heard about this. And if you also have never heard about this, that's totally okay. But basically, when we're children, we're really open, we're curious about the world. And as we grow up, we forget to be playful, to be curious. But still, we have that inner child inside of us, and it's super important to look after them. Um, if this sounds a bit interesting, Google it or ask ChatGPT to do some inner child exercises because I really recommend it. Or if you have a coach, like explore this with them because it is so, so important. And then number two is the concept of self worth versus confidence. I always thought I was confident. Doesn't mean I wasn't scared, but I just did things anyways. But being confident didn't mean I felt worthy inside. And it still amazes me how many of us just don't feel worthy. There is actually a great book called Worthy, funnily enough. And if this is something that you would like to explore further, definitely give it a read. It has exercises and you can get really practical about looking into your own worth. I'll just give you a little hint right now and something that really changed for me everything. It's you are born worthy. Okay, so really explore that because it's very important. And this idea really hit home for me when I reflected on my own past. Sometimes I downplay what I've been through. For example, I had leukemia at age 5 and I it actually impacted my life in so many ways. I missed a whole year of school because I was having treatment. I was also supposed to move to Madrid, but I ended up staying in Barcelona because, of course, I was in hospital, so that couldn't happen. And you could see that as, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, why do I deserve this? But my whole life unfolded differently because of that experience. And I'm so happy of the life I have right now. So I wouldn't change anything. We all have stories that shaped us, even if others don't know about it. So be kind to yourself and be kind to others because you never know what they've gone through. Why I say this though is because, as Tony Robbins says, your past doesn't define your future unless you let it or unless you live in it. And it is so true. We are not our past. Yes, you might have gone through hard things, and there's also harder things than what I went through. But at any moment, you can decide to rewrite your story. And it starts with making the decision and then just backing it up with small daily actions and telling yourself a new story. You can choose to play victim. Of course, you can do that too. But you can also decide to use what you've gone through to build a fire inside of you and show yourself and the world what you're capable of. And that can be your new story. So let me ask you this question now. Do you want to make the decision right now to change your life, to create an extraordinary life? If yes, congratulations. You've taken the first step towards creating that dream life. And that makes me want to share one of my favorite quotes, which is the greatest adventure you can take is to live the life of your dreams. I hope you've heard this quote before, but I love it because it's full of possibility. We're capable of designing our dream lives instead of following a preset path. We really can take the best adventure ever if we're only brave enough to go for it. But then why are we taught to dream so small? For me, growing up was the expected. Went to school, the next step would be university, a good one, hopefully, and get a corporate job, then climb the ladder, and that would be success for me. Nothing else was seen as valid. I also love to travel, and it even crossed my mind like, oh, a gap year, imagine going traveling, but that was just unthinkable. For me, it's like you have to study and then immediately start working. Like you can't waste your life. Employers won't look at you if you've gone and traveled instead of like start work straight away. Looking back now, I do wish I had that gap year. But again, we know what we know at that time, right? At least what I'm happy about is this year I turned 30 and I did my mini version of that gap year I always wanted. And I am so proud of myself. And why I share this is because it is never too late to make your dreams come true, your dreams, or to be who you might have been. That quote, I also love that quote. I love quotes, if you haven't noticed. But do you want me to share what I did this year? So basically, the 17th of January, it was my last day at my corporate job. Then we moved to Edinburgh in February, traveled to Tenerife for a business event, then went to Singapore and Bali to celebrate my 30th birthday and did a beautiful retreat there. Then went to Barcelona because it was my mom's birthday. Then we went to the Baltics and Helsinki to celebrate Peter's birthday. And in July, we did my mom's dream trip that we had been planning for so long. And it was a safari in Africa and volunteering in some Kibera slum schools in Nairobi. That was actually my dream. I always wanted to give back bigger than just here in the local community, and going to Africa was amazing. Also, August came and we were here in Edinburgh, so it was my first time experiencing the French, which was amazing. Then went to Costa Brava with my family again to spend the summer. And in September, we flew to Germany for the Tony Robbins Unleash the Power event. And let me tell you, it's been the best year of my life. But I also know it's not going to be the best year of my life forever because I have so many more amazing years to come. And all of this because I believed in myself and took the first step, even if I was scared. Trust me, I was scared, but I did it anyways. And I share this because it is so important that we follow our dreams. And I just want you to use this example to inspire you because you can do anything you set your mind to. This brings me to talking about work ethic and ambition. If you've listened to my previous episodes, you'll know I have mentioned this. And why I bring it up again is because it is so important. One thing is, if you're lazy, meaning you have a low work ethic, changing that can be hard. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. But hey, nothing is impossible and it is up to you to decide. But here I want to focus more on people who their ambition is low, because that is easier to change. The first step to change that, though, is to understand why your ambition is low. And let me tell you why. It is not because you are broken or because good things are only for others. The simple truth is because no one told you that you could accomplish anything you set your mind to and worked hard for. Because you thought your life was already defined for you and you just had to follow the path that was already set. I have seen so many people that are super hardworking and they use their talent, their hard work to make other people's dreams come true rather than their own. And yes, that is called a job. You want to know why though? Because of the lack of ambition. And this episode is about opening your eyes to that reality. You can accomplish whatever you want in life if you follow your own path, work hard, and refuse to give up. Ever. Never, ever, ever, ever give up. I'll share my turning point with you in case it can help. So, when I was 28, I remember thinking, I can't wait until I'm 70 to start living. I literally was looking forward to retirement at 28. Just imagine that. What a waste of the best years of my life to be focusing on a moment so far in the future. I was hardworking, I was ambitious, and I was successful in HR. But success felt limited to climbing that ladder. And at some point, it just didn't align with myself anymore. Do you want to know what the truth is about what kept me small? The fear of failure. We all have so many fears, but this is a very big one. Have you ever thought to yourself, if I dream big and don't achieve it, I'll feel like a failure? Not just to yourself, but also to others. What will they think about me, right? I had this thought so many times. So it felt safer to stay stuck in a job that I didn't like and not get my hopes up about an extraordinary life just in case I couldn't achieve it. But let me tell you, that's such a big mistake. Because the truth is, if you never quit, you can never fail. What a life hack, right? You just learn, improve. And the best is actually to fail really fast and pivot, to then never fail. You understand? So basically, if you just do all your failures very fast, you're going to learn a lot and then you cannot fail. You just learn. Then you actually show others what is possible and you get to change your own life and many others by proving them their lives can look different too. How beautiful is that? And this just brings me to the 9 to 5, just for a second. But who decided we should work 5 days a week and have 2 days off? Why not 3 days on, 4 days off? Why do we act so grateful for 30 days of annual leave a year? This has all been invented. We were actually watching Downton Abbey last night. I don't know if any fans here, but Violet is my favorite character. And she literally said, "What is a weekend?" I mean, people didn't even know what a weekend was if they are not working. It just doesn't make sense. And by the way, mine wasn't even a 9 to 5. I know everyone calls it a 9 to 5, but I worked 9 till 6 and 1 hour for lunch. So the truth here is, we were meant to live extraordinary lives, and it all starts with a decision. If you love your job and are happy with working 5 days to get two off, and 30 days of annual leave a year is enough for you, I'm really happy for you. I wish I had settled for that too, but deep inside of me, I knew I was meant for more. And just make sure that you're truly happy with that decision, not just settling for an ordinary life not to be disappointed later. Let's do a little exercise. You know, I love to put things into practice. So ask yourself, am I okay with the life I have right now? Do I already have an extraordinary life? Or do I want more in any aspects of my current life? Once you've answered this in your head, please grab your notebook and write down what your dream day would look like. Okay? Just have a think. If you could choose anything in your life, what your ideal day would look like. Okay? Would you be at work? Or would you be with your family, maybe? Traveling? Exploring somewhere new? Whatever it is, write it down. Would you wake up to an alarm? Every detail, please, please, the more detailed you are, the better this exercise will work. So stop here and do it now, or just write it on your notebook. And as soon as you finish this episode, please write it down. And if you've done it, just know that what you wrote down is 100% possible if you choose to create that extraordinary life. So decide right now. As the power of now says, we only have this moment, really. For me, this new path I chose was network marketing, and it is the best way for ordinary people to build extraordinary lives. You still have to work hard, don't get me wrong. Overnight success is not a thing, but you don't have to trade time for money forever. There is a great YouTube video called 12 Reasons Why Network Marketing is the Ultimate Career Choice from Fraser Brooks, and I really recommend it if you just want to understand a bit more about this industry. I also come to realize that I've already lived many, many of my dreams. Like living in London was once upon a time my dream, working at Pepsi and at Google, moving to Edinburgh, traveling to many beautiful countries, and as I mentioned, the safari and volunteering we did in Africa this year. At the time, I was scared, but fear was all in my head. Looking back, every step brought me here. And honestly, sometimes I'm sitting here at my desk now and I cry because I'm so happy of the life I created for myself. And yes, sometimes I wish I'd started sooner. But the right time was the moment I was open and decided I was ready for more. To be fair, when I see 20-year-olds 20-year-olds now deciding that the 9 to 5 is not for them, I'm super happy for them. Honestly, they can start building their dream life straight away, which is amazing. But it is never too late. Okay, whatever age you are, whatever path you're on, wherever you're in your life, you can start right now. So, to wrap this up, I hope the spark that you already had inside of you has been set on fire after this episode, and you realize your beautiful story deserves to be heard, and you deserve to create your extraordinary life, whatever that looks like for you. If it's moving to a new country, starting your business, leaving the 9 to 5 behind, you can do this, and I'll be cheering you on because sometimes that is all we need, someone to believe in us until we learn to believe in ourselves. Let me give you one final exercise. This is a favorite of mine, and I want you to put things into practice because that's how you will create real change. Are you ready? So please write this down. All the things you've already accomplished in your life. Trust me, it's more than you think. Seeing it on paper helps you feel proud, reminds you of your strength, and proves that you can handle anything because you've done hard things before and you can do them again. Okay, so let me just share the surprise I promised you to close this episode. I created a free ebook called The 5 Step Blueprint to Leave Your 9 to 5, the escape plan your boss hopes you never find. It's packed with exercises. It will help you start designing the life of your dreams in just 1 hour a day. And trust me, we all have 1 hour a day. The link is in the podcast description. Download it today. Also, for the first 3 people who drop me a DM saying ebook, I'm gifting a 15-minute mindset coaching call for free with me one to one. I can't wait to hear what you're working on. So don't wait, send me that message and grab your blueprint today. This is your sign to take action, not someday, but now. So remember, Freedom Seeker, you are never meant to live small. Your ambition, your dreams, your vision, they are all inside of you waiting to be unleashed. Don't wait until you're 70 to live. Decide today, act today, and create your extraordinary life. Thank you so much for being here with me for another episode. I can't wait to hear your breakthroughs from today's exercises and from the blueprint. Ambition is inside of you, even if you haven't tapped into it yet. If you're ready to find it, I'd love to help you. And just a little teaser, starting soon, I'll be bringing on some incredible guests to share their stories and perspectives so you don't hear only from me. You'll hear from people who've been taking their own leaps into freedom too. Please rate the podcast if you've loved it and share this episode with just one person you know who deserves to stop dreaming small. It helps me spread this message to the world. Until then, remember, let's turn ambition into freedom. See you next Tuesday.